Hello, this is Jeff Rivette from Carey University, and this lesson is entitled the Coil Pot for Ceramics in Art. On the previous video, I showed you how to take a ball of clay out of our bag here, and we learned how to wedge that. So I'm not going to go over that again. So please watch that video also about the wedging. I have wedged this piece of clay 50 times, and it is now ready to be molded and shaped, and with our goal in mind of to make a pot. It's just a little serving bowl with two handles on the side. Remembering that I told you on a previous video to make sure and draw out what you desire. I draw mine out on my masonite board here. I could also have a piece of paper over here with my drawing on it. But I just want today to demonstrate for you this different method. On the previous one we learned pinch pot, and this one we're going to demonstrate how to use coils in order to make a pot of similar type and shape. And then on the next video we will do slab construction. So I've got the same piece of basic design. It looks like a little bit distorted potato here, and I could easily put this on the pottery wheel, or I can use it for making my pieces hand building. So what I'm going to do is just lay it flat down on my masonite board. Again, I've got all my tools present that I mentioned in the previous video. I'm going to need those. I'm going to need my wire. I'm going to need my ruler. And this is something also I'm going to introduce. This is 2 large paint sticks you can pick up from Lowe's. They're a little bit less than 1/4 of an inch in thickness here. I'm going to lay them down on each side like so whenever I go to form the bottom of my piece here. So I want to demonstrate those two, and I'll also use these for our slab construction. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stand this back up. I'm going to take my piece of wire, and I'm going to cut me probably about a 1/4 of the top of this off. And what I want to do with it is to fabricate. I'm going to lay this piece aside here. Then I want to fabricate a flat surface bottom to build off of. And if my plan in place is to have a bottom of 4 inches, I will fabricate that as best I can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand up and I'm going to demonstrate how to do this. And this is my piece of clay, and I've kind of hit it with a strong part of my hand here again, and I've rounded off the sharper edge, and I'm going to lay it down flat like so, or I could even flip it over like that. And I'm going to use the palm of my hand here, and I'm going to put just medium force, and I'm going to lightly press down on it and try to flatten it out best I can. I'm going to then turn it over, and I'm going to flatten it out and kind of make sure it's kind of reaching kind of a flat surface like that. Now, what I'm going to now do is I'm going to place these large paint sticks on each side of it. And I would normally have a roller of some type, and that's what I'm demonstrating today. Is many of you would have your roller and you would roll it out on top here, but I'm simply going to use my hand here like so and flatten this out. And for those of you having a roller, you can just roll it over the top like so. And this again is a very, very primitive method of making it, very, very easy. And you'll notice the moisture coming out, so make sure and orientate the clay at a different place here. And all I'm doing is flattening it out best I can, and then I'm going to lay my ruler on top. I need just a little bit more, and it doesn't have to be exact at this level. You're just trying to create a nice flat surface for the bottom here. And then let's see, try to measure this out now, and we'll lay our ruler across the top. Let me press that down and sort of demonstrate how much further I've got to go. Okay, press down a little more from the center, working out like so. Beautiful, nice flat surface. And again, you could already roll this out perfectly evenly if you had your roller. Yeah, there we go. It's getting there, very, very close. Perfect. All right, so that's good enough for our demonstration here. I'm going to lay these guys aside, and then I will go, and if I want to create a 4-inch bottom, I'll just make my mind up where the center is, and I'll put it about right there. And I will put 2 on each side, 2 inches here, and 2 inches here. Oops, excuse me. 2 inches on this side, okay? And then I will do what I did is put the 2-inch mark on the center mark, and then I went out 2 inches from each direction so I could have a 4-inch total piece. And if you looked at my previous video, you would also see how I use just periodic little marks here, certain measurements apart, and then I just go and connect the dots like so. And again, it can be just generally in the direction you want, because that's what the beauty of this is. It's just really about creating, and you can get more and more sophisticated with it on your measurements. You can take a round object that is perfectly round, maybe an old coffee can or some type of cup, and then I'm just going to take this, we're going to reclaim this later, and I'll show you how to do that again. In a previous video we did that. So I'm going to now just basically touch the edges. You know, you can really change the shape just by minor, very minor movements. I'm barely touching this, and it's smoothing out all the edges, and you can tell it's not quite round, but it's good. I mean, I can go out here and perfect that as we go along, but I'm going to lay it right here aside as I now create my coils for building the coil pot. And I want to go up probably 4 or 5 coils just to demonstrate today, because you can build these this tall and this wide, and this is just for a good demonstration, practical demonstration. I want to try to get about a 1 inch, about a 1 inch in height. Just cut me off a layer like so, and let's cut off 2 of those today. And what I'm going to do is lay my wire tool aside, and I'm going to lay my refuse aside here, this extra clay. And now I'm going to take my knife tool. You don't have to do this. It's just the way this is the way I process it. Whatever I cut off, I just take it and cut it exactly in half in order to better handle it, because I'm fixing to roll it up. And I'm going to lay my pieces here, always having my drawing in mind here. And I'm going to just take this, and I'm simply going to squeeze it. Not too much, not too thin in some spots, but try to make it generally even from one end to the other. You can kind of tap the bottom end of it like so, and you're just creating just a log. I remember playing with Lincoln logs when I was a kid, and you're making these little logs, stretches of ribbon, a piece of clay that is well, basically like a small log, but just I almost said extruded piece, because we have an extruder at the school that you just put the clay in and you pull it down, and it extrudes a piece of clay about this big around and as long as you want it to be. So what I can do here, and I can stay seated doing this, I can take one hand for pressure here, and I can gently roll that out, and it's kind of getting square on me. Okay, there. And then I begin to roll it out like so and work my hands out like this and continue to do that. And I begin to use my thumbs to round it off, because sometimes it can get sort of flattened out on me. And all I'm doing is trying to elongate the piece of clay. And you can see it's getting thinner here. So I'm going to kind of work that clay this way to thin it out, to make it kind of even all the way across. And you can see it kind of going that way as I'm doing this. And then, all right, it's getting better. This end is getting thinner. Had a little fly or something there. Okay, here we are, and now I'm going to roll it on out like so. All right, and now I'm going to take my needle tool, and I'm going to cut this exactly in half, because it's not quite as small as I want it. So I'm going to do this again, and making it is generally applying the pressure, rolling it on out like so. Better. And you're seeing it's just kind of getting into just a rope shape, And some of it, you're going to have some minor imperfections, but you can kind of work on those pieces, and you can kind of get a feel of the thickness, and that one's pretty good. And then we have this one. We're going to try to roll it out. And I will do the same for the remaining ones. And then we'll run across these. And experience has shown me I'm getting the feel, much like the pinch pot. I'm just squeezing to a certain place, and we're going to allow it and try to make them all the same. Okay? There's 2 right there, and then I'm going to take this very quickly, and I'm going to squeeze it like I did earlier. I'm going to move these aside, put these here, and begin my work. Don't want to inadvertently run into that needle. All right, now I'm gonna run my hand over this like I did previously. I'll very quickly, for time, begin to squeeze from the middle out, like so. Turn it to get it the general shape that I want, thickness-wise. And then I'll begin to gently roll the corners off, like so. And working on that middle. All right, and then I'm going to cut it in half, like I did the other. And then I'm going to work this out until it's about generally the same length as the others. Pretty round, pretty close, but everything can be manipulated later. Okay, there's one piece. Okay, and we're going to go and make this one. And you'll notice I'm kind of varying my methods and trying to get my shapes all the same consistently. It's about repetition and using the same techniques over and over and over, and that is how some of these techniques I learned when I was 20 years old, and some of the techniques I learn new things every day. So don't discount that. There's other methods of doing it. All right, there's another one, and we make these really quick. And you see, all I'm doing is just rolling them out and elongating them. And generally, I go as wide as I can, close to the ends of my my backboard here, like so. Cut it in half, lay that one in front, and then I'll stretch this one out almost to the length here. Okay, getting close. There's that one. And you can also stop this video at any time and rewatch something I'm doing. Okay, there's that one. And then we'll run this one on out, letting our hands work the clay. And that's what you call it, just working the clay. You're altering the shapes, making it your own. And I want you to enjoy this. It is supposed to be fun. The projects you have are easily obtainable. And I want you to have a connection with the clay. Like this clay, my hands are involved in this. I am altering its shape and its future. And a little philosophical there. I want you to know that it can be whatever you want it to be. In that respect, you are the one that is in control. You just simply make the clay do what you want it to do. And we can keep molding this and stretch it out, cut it in half, like so. And I'm going to continue to stretch the clay like so. Very quickly, almost there with this one, great. And then we have, and again, if you were in the studio and you had an extruder, you'd already be through with making and fabricating all this. So really, you can be very primitive and make this, you see I'm trying to thicken it now. I'm trying to push it back together a little bit. That's perfectly all right. I got a little bit ahead of myself there on trying to thin it out. I got a little too thin, so I just kind of press it back together. It will go back together. All right, so there we are. Here is our original piece. And make sure we don't press down too much or it will stick. But I am going to move back on my piece of masonite board here because this has gotten quite saturated with moisture. This is dry. All right. And we're going to now build. So you're going to need a couple of things. I have, from a previous video, you know it, you saw it, some reclaimed clay. I'm going to take a little bit of this clay and pinch it off like so, and I'm going to break it up, and I'm going to put it down in this water, and I'm going to make a slip mixture. I'm going to make kind of a little bit of a milkshake type consistency with it. I keep saying milkshake, but it really is. It really is the consistency of what a milkshake would be. So if you went to a place and bought it. So, but I have my water here, it has water in it, and I'm just simply going to stir this and mix it because I'm needing a little bit of mortar for putting my pieces of clay together. And I'm going to put a little bit more in there in order to save us a little time because I have a little bit more water in there than I would have normally had, but it's okay because you can always add a little bit more clay here in order to properly get you a good slip mixture here. And I'm going to take my fingers and I'm going to mix that up, and it gets all in between your fingers, and it gets all over everything. So there's only degrees of really dirty dirt in clay work. You'll never really clean until you get away from it and really clean, because I can wash my hands and 5 minutes later I can see clay mud and things, still a layer of it on there. But that's perfectly all right. That's all part of the process. Okay, so I'm getting a good mixture of just some good mud, good slip here. So I'm going to let this continue to mix. I'm going to throw a few extra pieces in here while we begin our work. And I'm going to lay that in there. Get me a tissue here to clean up my hand, dry it, so because I'm fixing to handle the base. Okay, but this is our base piece, and I want you to take your needle tool or a toothbrush. I could use this one, this brush, but I'm going to simply use this and do some cross hatching or scoring on this. Let me put it closer so you can get a better look here. I'm going to begin to go around the edges approximately a 1/4 inch in from the outside, just like that. Just kind of go all the way around it, and there's not really a point of reference like everything else I teach you about. You just got to get it scored. So just kind of go around it the best you can, like that, and then cross over that again. What you're trying to do is create a rough surface, because you're fixing to apply a piece of clay, one of these pieces, on top of it, and you need something to stick it to. So I'm going to take this one right here, and I'm going to do the exact same thing down it. I'm going to cross hatch on it like so, all the way down the piece of clay. Not trying to disturb or distort the shape, but I'm simply just going down the piece of clay. And you'll see why in a minute, because when I put a little bit of layer of water on this and a little bit of layer of that slip, that little bit of mud, it will act as a bonding agent for the two pieces of clay. All right, there it is, just like that. Now what I'm doing is taking a dry paintbrush, and I'm going to stick it down in my mixture, and it's starting to get really good in here. So I've got a nice little bit of a mud type, and I'm just going to daub that on there like so. And there is actually clay mixed into that water, and I'm going to take a little bit more of that and just kind of smear it on there like that. Good. And I'm going to go all the way around it, just like that. And that's got a little bit of that good slip in it. And then I'm going to take this one. If it's not too wet, I got that pretty wet, but I'll run down this a little bit with it. My clay water here, my slip. And I'm going to go all the way to the end. Maybe got a little bit too wet, because water will come out of it and kind of mess your shape up. All right, so I'm going to have a point. This is my point. I just barely touched it. This is where I'm going to begin. And I'm going to put it right on top here like so. And I'm going to begin to work and work all the way around the piece, just like so, making sure the scored sides meet each other. See the scored side meeting the scored side. And then I'm going to come around here, and where the points intersect here, I'm not just going to cut it off evenly here. I'm going to go past it and go on top. Maybe I can get you a good view of that. Let me see. Okay, good. Here we go. I'm going to go over the top like this, and I'm going to cut all the way through with my needle tool. Not too hard, but I'm going to gently press down into that until I cut all the way through both. I'm cutting both in order to get a nice smooth cut. Let me pull that piece out. A nice smooth cut on both pieces, and it's just like that. Okay, I'm gonna lightly press down, and try to meet the edge here. I'm going to slide it out just a little bit, just like so. And I'm going to kind of press it together, and that makes it adhere, just like that. And then we're going to go around again. You're going to go around the top, scoring it, putting your little cross hatching, just anything you can to create a mark on it in order to allow the water and the little bit of a clay mixture for something to go down in it so it can bond things together, just like that. And I can actually start, this is a piece of refuse, but I can still use this piece. And I can put my slip on top of this like so. And then I have this still pretty wet, so I'm going to start not on the same cut as before. I'll pick me another spot and I'll begin to go around like so. And then I'll take my next piece, and I'm going to, for practical purpose, I'm going to cut it in half in order to show you today. And I'm going to score it like this, or cross hatch, whatever you want to call it. Just rough it up, just like so. And I've already roughed all that up. And I'm going to put me a little bit of the slip mixture on here, the water and the clay that I've mixed. And I'm going to then lay it on top like before, and I'm going to cut through very gently, cut through both, remove that excess piece on the bottom like that so I can have a nice clean place to press that into. And then I'm going to then just stick them down on each other like so. And I've got a little short piece here, so lesson time. All right, here's how we do that. We have a very short piece. Get my hands dry because it's a little hard to hold it. All right, I'm going to cut gently. That's about that far. I'm going to cut a little bit longer, just like that. And then I'm going to score it, just like this. And then I'm going to put just a little bit of my moisture on here. I'm going to go and put it on both. And I'm going to go through on both sides in order to get a nice clean cut, just like that. Remove that piece, and that's for that side. And then I'm going to also go on this side, cut through both, remove this one. Using your needle tool has so many uses. You can go in and get those very tight places, and then you're going to push that in there just like that, perfectly in line, pressing down just a little bit, and then run your finger around on top. Keep your fingers generally moist, but they can get a little bit too wet on you, and move your piece regularly because you're going to start getting some moisture on your table. And then what you're going to continue to do is you're going to continue to go around the piece and continue to build up. I'll put a couple more on these, and then I'll demonstrate how to alter the sides and things like that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and we're going to score this. And then I'm going to apply a little bit of slip to the top, and this is really, really wet. So I'm going to put this very lightly on this one because I've got a lot on this one, and I'm going to start at a different place. Remember the cuts, I'm not going to start there. I'm going to start at another location because it's a weak point until you really start to change the sides and you start altering a little bit. You'd rather not have it potentially crack there. All right, so there's one, and then I'll get me another piece of clay. Try to measure it out. Yep, okay. We got a little bit there extra, and then I'm going to score it. It's repetitious, you see, over and over and over, the same thing when we're making our coil pot. Okay, just like that. We've already got a little bit of wet on this, moisture, and we will build here, and then we're going to apply it. We're going to cut in. And I'm going to remove this piece, and I'm going to lift that up and remove that piece, just like that. And I'm going to squeeze that in, and then I'm going to press that down and cut through the other also. All right, and just like that. And we'll press down. You're going to press down gently and also together, like that. And let's add one more, and then I'll demonstrate some other things for us, okay? So we're going to score, and you can make these this tall or you can make them this big. I mean, it's just really unlimited as to what you want to create using this process, because you can build them gigantic or you can build them small. You can build coffee cups. It's just a different method of building, and it's a very good, structurally strong method of building. Okay, we've got our scoring on both sides. We're going to put some of our slip on it. We'll put it down this side as well, and we're going to not go on the cut. Remember that. We're going to start here. We're going to press in slightly, and we're going to work our way on the piece, and we're going to have to add a piece here. That's okay. We've got plenty of clay to do that with. So let's go out here and just estimate a piece here. Absolutely, we should be good. And you see I'm just scoring the edges, giving something that slip and that water can go down into to create the bond, okay? And so many of you would say, well, doesn't that create an air pocket? No, not likely, because you're going to be able later here to manipulate the clay a little bit to ensure there's not any in there. Okay, I'm going to lap it. We're going to cut through both again, and I'm going to remove the little piece under here, just like that. See that? I'm going to take my needle, and I'm going to lay it right there and stick it in there like that. And I'm going to put my piece, and I'm going to go in and cut through both, and lift up again, and remove that little piece I cut out, and it fits perfectly in line. All right, good. So now I'm going to basically just take it and smooth it out. I'm going to lightly lift it, move it to a different spot. All right, this next portion, I want to demonstrate how to close it up and how to clean this up. Now, I want you to look at the bottom. Here's the bottom, and here's the sides, okay, all the way around. And here's the inside, which looks like a pinch pot with the exception of its coils, okay? So I'm going to lay my needle aside. I'm going to pick up my clay knife, and this is what is called the burnishing tool on the end. You can just rub here. You're going to need a little water, and you're also going to need this tool. So I'm going to dip it a little bit in the water, get my hands a little bit drier because I'm handling it, and it's going to be a little wetter than I want it to be. Okay, I'm going to take this tool, and I'm simply going to work my way from the bottom or the top, whichever works for you, but generally the bottom for me. You gently press in slightly, and you pull up. And you pull up, same point of reference, and you go around the pot just like so. And all I'm doing is rubbing the clay gently, not too heavy, not digging in so much. And I'm going up, and I'm also going to go down in just a moment. And I'm going to turn the pot. You can also get you a small rotatable, I think they sell them in housewares and places like Walmart or Target. It's a little Lazy Susan, and it goes around, or anything you can rotate. And you see kind of what I'm doing here is I'm taking my tool and I'm blending it together. You see that? Great. And then that changes the shape, and I'm going to go all the way around it like so. And I'm turning the clay. I'm going all the way around like so. All right, and I've done that. Now what I'll do is I'll dry this off a little bit because it has gotten quite wet, and I'll go down because I've got a little lip up here. I want to pull down some of this clay. I'm liking that texture an awful lot. But then you go down here like so. And you're changing the look on the outside, but you're also blending it in. Creating a nice, even wall or cylinder for your pot. Okay, and that's, let me reshape it just a little bit, kind of got a little bit, there we are. Now, what you have is this on the outside. You can also do this. You can also do this on the inside. So if you wanted to take your shape and go around, I'll demonstrate that. See that? And I'm just changing, going around, and I'm blending it together. Blending it together, just like that. And really the technique is up to you. As long as you maintain it balanced and don't push one wall off to the side, and there we go, just like that. And you can go all around it. This is the basics of a coil pot. You can also, like I did in the previous video, take a ruler and measure the top and make sure it's nice and even. You can also take this wooden rib and put a little water on it. Generally, you can just dip it, but then I'll take this rib, dry my hands off, and I'm going to hold it, and I'll just run the rib around it like so. You see that? How nice that begins to smooth it. Look how it's getting smoother around the sides. You can take it and just run it around like that. Make sure you're supporting it though on the inside like that. and you can begin to alter the shape, moving the pot regularly, or else it's going to stick to your bat board because you're using water, and that water, let me get a little bit more on here, and then we can continue the process until we go all the way around it. But you see the basics of building this coil pot, and now it looks a lot like where my pinch pot was whenever I was working on it. And it's, again, it's a cylinder. You can make it this high, you can broaden it out, you can turn these handles out, you can even take a couple of these and you can take your clay knife and cut it generally about the same length. Watch this. You're going to take it and cut it about the same length here. Two of these. You're going to slightly bend it the way you want, and put the other one kind of on top of it and bend it about the same shape. Bend it about the same shape. Don't let them stick together, but about the same shape, just like that. And you'll let them sit aside for a couple of minutes out of the way while you're working on something else, while you're smoothing it out, or while you are getting the look you want. And then you can come back, and looking at your shape like this, you can take your needle and you can, this is a lesson, watch this, looking at the piece of pottery. The piece is back towards you is like a clock. This is 6 o'clock here. This is 12 o'clock away from you, 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock. 3 o'clock is over here to my right, and also to my left is going to be 9 o'clock. So I have these directions on my pot as I'm engaging it. So whenever I do that, my east and west here, my 3 o'clock and my 9 o'clock, I want to use that. I'm going to take this handle, and I'm now going to find kind of the center place of my mark right here. Good. And I'm going to then score the edges like so. And then I'm going to put a little bit of slip on it because these outside edges are pretty rough already. I'm just going to lightly score it. Let me get you a picture of that. I'm going to lightly score it here and here. And then I'm going to go in, remembering my mark here, and I'm going to then very gently press together like so. And then I can dress that up any way I want to, but that's getting it as close as I can to being centered on my pot the way I want it to be. I'm going to put a mark on kind of where the center is here. I'm going to score it here. Apply a little bit of my slip. I'm going to score it on this side, trying to find my marks here. And then I'm going to apply it here and here. And then I'm going to press them together. A little bit higher, there we are, okay? And then I'm going to dry my hands off here, and I'm going to turn it around so you can see it. So I've added some basic handles, and all I did was split the pot in the directions in order to properly place the handles, because I've seen some people try to do it and they put a handle here and they end up putting a handle over here somewhere, and it's just enough off to make you go, that handle's not straight. So it helps you by putting these little marks on your piece to balance it all out to where you want to place some things. So I can go back and I can then dress up my handles, I can clean this up, and we can get it all right. So, but this has been the coil pot, and I hope this lesson has helped you. And just look for my other videos out there. And this is, again, it's been Jeff Rivette from William Carey University.